Welcome back, everyone. In this video, we're going to go over lesson 5, experimental design and completely randomized design. Okay, so in a completely randomized design, all experimental units have an equal chance of receiving any treatment. You identify which treatments are to be given in our experiment, and then using a randomized method to assign our experimental units to the treatment we've identified. Random assignments to treatment is important because it helps reduce bias. If we allow subjects of an experiment to choose their treatment, then our results may not be truly representative of the population parameter we are trying to test through our experiment. So, for example, many people choose a treatment they are more comfortable with, which can heighten the effects of the treatment, similar to the placebo effect. So here are the steps for completely randomized design. You first start off with your experimental units. Okay, so here's our experimental units. Okay, and you identify the treatments that they will be getting. Okay, and keep in mind that a placebo or control group is considered a treatment group. Okay, no treatment is a treatment. Now what you would do is you would number your experimental units 1 to n, depending on the sample size. 2, use a random number generator to assign to treatment groups. And then 3 would be to measure the response. Measure the response variable. Okay, so let's go ahead and go over a model problem. So in this example, you want to test to see if a special diet, exercising regularly, or a combination of both is more effective in women over the age of 50 that want to lose weight. You have a random sample of 40 women over the age of 50 for your study. So how would you create a experiment for this? So first, our experimental units are the 40 women over the age of 50, okay? And we're trying to see if special diet, exercising regularly, or a combination of both is more effective, okay? So our treatment groups is, so T1 is there's a diet and a exercise. T2 would be a diet and no exercise. T3 would be no diet and exercise. And then T4 is no diet, no exercise. And remember that this one is going to be our control group, where they don't receive any treatments. So how would you create this experiment? So 1, we would number women 1 through 40. Random number generator to pick 10 women to T1, 10 for T2, and so on. Okay, and then 3, our response variable is the weight loss. Okay, so going on to the next page, we have a check for understanding. I want you to go ahead and pause this video, read through the problems, and then come back to see if your answer was correct. Okay. Which of the following situation correctly describes a completely randomized design? So option 1 is, in a class of 20, the teacher randomly assigns 10 students to complete the class quiz on paper and the other 10 to complete the class quiz on the computer to see if there's a difference in student scores on the quiz based on how they took the quiz. So keyword here is randomly assigns. A new medication is available to help lower cholesterol. A research group randomly assigns half of 100 volunteers to high cholesterol with high cholesterol to the new medication and the other half to the old medication. And then 3, a study on dream recall is being done. The researchers wants to see if exercising before going to sleep will help people recall more dreams. They have a simple random sample of 50 people. For the first night, they tell people to exercise for 30 minutes within an hour before going to bed and then record the number of dreams they recall. On the second night, they tell them not to exercise before going to bed and record the number of dreams. So the answer here would be is going to be D, right? The reason why 3 did not count was because the same experimental units got both treatments, right? So we don't know if it's because of the exercise that they're recalling their dreams or if it's just because them as a person was able to recall these dreams. So you need to have different groups to do this so that you can really see if there is a causation or not. Okay, moving on, we have the next page is practice problems. So once you go ahead, pause the video, do the practice problems, and then come back. Okay, so we have, for number 1, design the experiment for the following scenarios using a completely randomized design. So number 1 says that there are 12 identical tanks with the same species of 10 guppies in each tank. A researcher wants to test whether temperature, water, and or food type will help the guppies grow. There are 2 types of water temperatures, warm and lukewarm, and 3 types of food, A, B, and C. Okay, so we have experimental unit, which are the 12 tanks, 12 identical tanks, okay? And then from there, we're going to have, so there's either, so for the factors, right? We have warm and, sorry, for the factors, we have the temperature of water, right, which is either warm or lukewarm. And then from there, we have A, B, C food type for each of these. Okay, so going down the tree, this is how we're going to create our treatment groups, okay? So T1 would be warm, with food A. T2 would be warm with food B. T3 would be warm with food C. T4 is T4 would be lukewarm with food A. Okay. T5, and I'm going to abbreviate lukewarm as LW, with food B. And then T6 is lukewarm with food C. So for the completely randomized design, number tanks 1 through 12, use random number generator to pick two tanks for each treatment. Okay, and then 3 would be to, the response variable is the growth of guppies. Okay, moving on, number 2. You want to see if a certain SAT prep program really helps improve scores on the SAT. This program is taken on the computer and automatically adjusts to the student's strengths and weaknesses. You want to compare this to a traditional book method. You have 12 juniors available for the study. Design the experiment. So, here the experimental unit is 12 juniors. Okay. Treatment 1 is the computer program. Treatment 2 is the book method. And treatment 3 for the control group would be none of these methods. So 1, label students 1 through 12, random number generator to pick 4 for each treatment for each group, and 3, the response variable is going to be their SAT score.